So, we had to cut there for a technical issue, but we're back. So Dennis, make sure you cut accordingly so that we latch on to the last piece. This is where we were, yeah? And I think I just described who these blue people were. These blue guys are young salespeople, and the sales reps are going to ask for them and convince their boss that it's important to get the young sales reps into the boat so that they can listen to what's going on and listen to the calls. And this orange person here might be a marketing person, and the experienced sales reps would suggest that it would be good to have a marketing person to make sure that the contact data in the organization and the Excel sheet or the database where all of the contact stuff, or the CRM system, or whatever's being used is kind of the data is collected in a sensible way. Yeah, if we remember that the purpose of the campaign is to run it 4, 5, 6 times over 18 months to 2 years, then that needs some organization. Yeah, in the term of it needs some kind of reminder system. Somebody needs to stay on top of it. Yeah, most salespeople, in my experience, are not brilliant when it comes to organization of stuff like this. Yeah, a lot of salespeople are not the best organizers in the world, and so it'd be good to have somebody who kind of takes over and takes control of the organization itself. Now, another thing is this. Do you remember this piece? Finding the numbers? We have to do a lot of calls here. Now, this is one piece that these guys are definitely not going to want to do all on their own. So having this team together right at the beginning would be a perfect way of making sure that this piece happens quickly and effectively. There's maybe 200 calls to do that. 200 calls, I'm sure some of you are saying, Tim, 200 calls? Are you crazy? Why do you need to do 200 calls? Well, let me show you. Hello, could you contact me to the beep, 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 beep? That's one call. Hello, could you contact me to the marketing department? Thank you. Oh, purchasing department? Oh no, that's the wrong number. Beep, beep, beep. Yeah, this is where the calls come from. Yeah, he's not here at the moment. Okay, I'll call back. Call number 3. Yeah, there's a lot of calls that happen within this 200. It's just, you've got to get through them. Yeah, so here's our acquisition campaign team. That's what we mean by resources. Now, another thing that we mean by resources is visualized by this percentage mark, or the FF, which stands for the finder's fee. Now, this brings us into the topic of financial motivation and commission on sales. But at the end of the day, I think it's important within an organization to reward acquisition campaigning with some type of financial incentive. Yeah? Obviously, in utopia, we don't need to reward our salespeople for finding new projects and new opportunities. And I'll be very honest, in many project-oriented environments and a lot of project management-oriented environments, people don't get rewarded for finding new opportunities. Yeah? But if you're going to put together an acquisition campaign, then I think it's fair to ask the question, can we get a finder's fee for any business that comes as a result of this acquisition campaign? Can we get a percentage of revenue, or whatever that happens to look like? I've heard of different models. I've heard of like a €500, a €1,000 for any business that comes as a result of a cold call. I've heard of a 2% or a 1% of total revenue over 3 years for any business that comes as a result of one of the calls. Yeah, which means if this guy does a call, then this call will, that will be linked to him. It'll go into the system, and so this person they'll do those calls again for the next 5 times, yeah? Or they'll hand over to somebody, and then that person will probably lose their percentage on that. But they should be rewarded, yeah? Which means the lead, yeah, or the opportunity, the prospect needs to be captured. It needs to be kept. And people need to remember who did the first call. Yeah, because this is important. I've just, won an opportunity, and a friend of mine, called Duncan, he did the call. He did the call like 5 years ago. We were in Korea, in Seoul. We were at a conference. We were at the bar. He was speaking to some guy, and at some stage he says, "Tim, give this guy your card and keep in touch because he will give us business one day." I said, "Thank you, Duncan." So I took this guy's card. 5 years later, it becomes an opportunity. So do I give Duncan a call and give him his commission? No, of course I don't, but that's a different story. I should do. That would be ethically correct. Yeah. So finder's fee and financial motivation. I know it's an interesting topic in itself, and I'm not necessarily saying that it's the right thing to do, but I am saying that with the acquisition campaigns that we've run, having the knowledge of this financial motivation there at the beginning certainly does a lot more to kind of motivate these guys to go ahead and do the work. But let's look at this a little bit closer. These guys, these are experienced sales reps. They've been in the job for 3 to 10 to 20 to 50 years. They don't get motivated by small pieces of money based on cold calls. Yeah, they're not in it for the percentage or the finder's fee. They're in it for the results, and they're in it for new projects and new opportunity. They're in it for selling the big stuff. Yeah, but these guys, they will be motivated by it, because it's at the right stage of their career. But we'll see how that happens. So, Big Boss Man, he says you can have the resources and you can have your bonus scheme or your bonus system, and so he's up for it. And then what happens is that these three guys say, okay, let's go for it. Let's start doing this. So one of the resources is a room. We need a room, and this room has got a telephone in it. In one of the acquisition campaigns that we did, the three sales reps in question, they turned up, and they put a round table in the middle of the room, and they put their three telephones on that table, and then they got dark sunglasses, and they all pretended to be Neo from The Matrix. You seen The Matrix? Yeah, they had great fun. They were, "Hello, Mr. Anderson," and so they were getting a lot of, they were having a lot of fun with this. And they had some pretty decent reference stories. They had 3 people on the list that they were going to call. They had their list of 10 companies, and they had these guys sitting around the tables just listening and watching. And they said to the new sales reps and to the marketing people, they said, and now in all seriousness, because I've been joking around a little bit, but now it gets serious. They said, "Guys, please listen, give us some feedback as to what you think is good, what you think we could improve, and let's see how it goes." So they put it on speakerphone. This guy made one of the calls, and he said, "Hi, is that Mr. Richardson, the sales director?" Mr. Richardson said, "Yes." He said, "Look, can I just tell you a quick story? I'm a sales rep. This is an acquisition campaign. I've got an interesting project that we've just done with Salesforce automation software. It'll take 1 minute." Mr. Richardson said, "If it really takes 1 minute, then yes, you can have your 1 minute." So the sales rep says, "Okay, very simple. We were working with a guy. He had big problems in motivating his sales reps to do cold calls, exactly the way that we're doing now. Would you be interested in hearing the next thing?" The guy said, "Yep." He said, "Well, one of the key issues was that I couldn't find any form of getting the people to do calls on a standard basis, and we effectively gave them a piece of software that helped them a lot in being able to do this." And the chap says, "Interesting, but we have some software, no thanks." Put down the phone. Then these two guys listened to the call, and they said, "Well done, you made the call." Gave them a quick round of applause, because you need to respect the fact that somebody's just done a call. Successful or unsuccessful, it doesn't matter. If somebody does the call, quick clap, well done, you did the call. Now these guys are looking at this and saying, "Well, I can't give any feedback on it. I don't know what it's all about." But if you look at it from an outside perspective, this person has been in the company for 3 months. They're a new salesperson. They have just heard a real piece of real sales going on between an experienced sales rep and a real potential client. And it failed, yeah? Which is even better learning. So, you know, they're listening, they're learning, they're watching. And now he says, that's easy. And these guys kind of prick up their ears and they say, what do you say? He said, that's easy, I can do that. And they say, well, hang on a second, yeah? Let's do a couple more, yeah? And then if you really want to, you can do one, yeah? He said, oh, go on, let me do one now. And they said, no. So he puts together another call, calls, tells the story, yeah? And then he says, no, I can do this, let me have a go. And these guys are saying, well, if you really want to, yeah? Because this is what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody to take over these calls. They don't want to do the calls. They're very happy if a young blood sales rep does the calls. Who's going to be better at doing these calls? It's a 1 minute flash in the pan. It's a piece of luck. You're calling somebody, they've just left one meeting, going to another meeting. You know, they're on their way to the loo, they're on their way to lunch. What do you know where they are? It's pure luck of the draw when it comes to acquisition campaigning. So what does it make a difference whether they do it or you do it? In fact, there's a lot of argumentation that it's better that these guys do it because they're fresh. Yeah, they don't have all of the hang-ups of all of this experience and stuff. They can focus on it in a different way. So he gets the phone in his hand, picks up the number. Yeah, as soon as he picks up that number, he's put into the system. He's now the salesperson for this call. He gets the commission if something comes of it in 2 years' time, and he makes the call. Yeah, and he puts down the phone and clap, round of applause, and these guys will now give him feedback. Now I know that there are probably no human resources people watching this at this precise time, but you should be, because this is the way that you train new sales reps to be active. It's actually also the way that you assess new sales reps. You put them on the phone a few times and then you get a very good feeling for whether they're going to be the type of proactive people that you're actually looking for. In the book, there's a whole bit about HR people and the hiring process when it comes to sales. Yeah, but it's one of the kind of spin-off side effects. So this person now says, one of the other new sales reps, he says, right, I'll do a call as well because he's done one, peer group pressure, etc. So the young blood sales reps start taking over the call responsibility. Yeah, maybe though these guys all do one acquisition campaign. Yeah, and then they say to the new sales reps, okay guys, now you've watched it, now it's your turn. We'll build the background and then you do the calls. So they put together another whole acquisition campaign on the back of that one, which means we've now got 30 numbers, then 60 numbers, and this is the way that you can start building your number base or the quantity base. Yeah. Now, then one very funny thing is once I saw a situation where the two new sales reps looked at their the new marketing colleague and they said, why don't you have a go? You're marketing, you should be able to do this too. And this person kind of said, nah, I'm not going to do that. And they said, go on, you have a go as well. We did it, so now you have to do it. And this person said, nah, cold calling is for suckers. What? What do you mean? Nah, losers do cold calling. I'm not doing cold calling. And so, you know, this created a little bit of friendly conflict. And eventually they pinned him to the ground and forced him to do it. He said, oh, okay, I'll do it. So he picks up the phone and he says, yeah, I need a meeting. When? Yeah, okay, good. Put the phone down. And he got a meeting. And everybody's like dumbstruck and astounded and how did that happen? And that's impossible. How did you do that? And he says, cold calling is for fools. Fools do cold calling. And they said, do another one. He says, okay. So he picks up the phone and he says, hi, Mr. Smith. Yeah, I'm calling from ABC. When would be good for you? I'm not really sure. Look at my timetable. How about then? Okay, good. Yep, good. I'll call you back in 5. Yep. Calls back in 5. Okay, good. Okay, see you then. Puts down the phone. And what they discovered was this thing which is more rare than the Siberian saber-toothed tiger, which is called the cold call genius. Yeah, there is a species on the planet which is people who are good at doing cold calls and people who get results on cold calls better than others. They are very rare. And so if you find one of these things within your organization, what you do is you buy a good pair of handcuffs, you handcuff them to the flip chart or to the radiator, and you squeeze them until they're all nothing's left and you kick them out. No, you don't do that. You reward them. You reward them and motivate them and give them future perspective and use them as much as you can. The cold call geniuses that I've met have not remained cold call geniuses for all of their lives. It's a period that they go through. But if you have one in your organization, wouldn't you like to know? And that's the principle behind acquisition campaigning. So, what we have done here is we have looked not at the process, but we have looked at the atmosphere. We have looked at the motivational currency behind the acquisition campaign. We have looked at the relationship between boss and sales reps. We've looked at the relationships between sales reps and new blood sales reps. We've looked at the potential relationship, I say potential because normally it doesn't exist, between marketing people and sales. We've looked at a real solid, measurable, pragmatic way in which marketing people can take an active role in their sales organizations, a role that salespeople really appreciate, and they say, help us, you can help us here, and we've interestingly looked at a method by which human resources departments can decide how to hire salespeople and how to develop salespeople into the types of people that they want. If you imagine that this person has a 6-month contract at the beginning of their career, or maybe a 3-month contract where you can still fire them if they're not any good, what do you do within those first 3 months? Well, if you have an acquisition campaign, then you can test them on an acquisition campaign. You will discover many, 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 many things about them. You will discover whether they are proactive or not. You'll discover their limitations when it comes to speaking to potential clients. I know a lot of you are saying, no, we can't do that. They don't know anything about our products and services. Well, what do they need to know? They need to know. They need the confidence to take a reference story and to speak it through on the phone. The reference story is about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes worth of material. And by listening to the real reps do it, they can do that as well. Now, if we come to our goals, remember we have 3 goals here. We've got goal 1, a meeting. We've got the telephone presentation and sending material. So, it's possible, we're not likely going to get many meetings. We may get more telephone presentations, and we'll get those based on the fact that accepting a telephone presentation is easier than accepting a meeting. And in the situation where the client is saying, no, that does sound interesting and it is part of my, list of objectives, then it's very possible that we're going to start getting some of these, which means there's a piece of material that is needed, which is the telephone presentation, which is built up on this reference story, and which gives the client the opportunity to judge, to evaluate the idea based on the text that they've got right in front of them. So you need to do that as well. Over time, it is possible that these sales reps may then also be able to do those telephone presentations. But of course, that takes a little bit more knowledge and takes a little bit more practice. Doing the reference story template, not so hard. After listening to it 3 times, you can practice it 3 times, and then it normally sounds okay. 10 times, you're perfect. With a telephone presentation, you need to listen to it 10 times. You need to rehearse it 2 or 3 times before you can try it out with a real client. Okay? Just looking at the final results, because this is something that we haven't done yet. So, 30 calls gave us 1 meeting in the traditional sense of the word. With this system, we're doing 30 calls, from those 30 calls, we're getting between 9 to 14 telephone presentations. Yeah, we have had lower results as well. We've had from 5 to 10 telephone presentations, depending on the product and service that was being sold. But most of the time, as long as it was a decent story, we're getting between 9 and 14 telephone presentations. From those 9 to 14 telephone presentations, we are getting 1 to 2 meetings. So, it doesn't change, right? Well, it does change a little bit, because there is a potential of getting more meetings from the 30 calls. But what seriously changes is this. All of these telephone presentations, you've now got a conversation between a salesperson and a client. It's no longer cold. You've called the company, you've called them before here, you've given them the story here, you've arranged a time, you've sent over 4 slides, easy to read slides, yeah? Nice big text. You don't send them a Bible. You send them slides that are easy to follow, clear structure. Then you give them a call and you take them through that story, slide by slide. You say, slide 1, this was the background. Slide 2, these were the problems. Slide 3, this is what we did. Yeah? And at the end of those slides, you're saying, what's it like with you? Do you have any questions about that? Is that clear? Can I clarify any misunderstandings? So you're taking multiple opportunities to go into detail and sell and ask questions and give the customer the opportunity to give their input on the other side. That's the big advantage and benefit of this system of acquisition campaigning over the system of simply going for the meeting. You have the opportunity to sell here. Yeah? And you know, the results that I get time and time again after finishing one of these telephone presentations, where very often the customer says, you know, Mr. Bertzel, thanks very much. The answer's no. You've given me a good information. It's been a good usage of my time. I didn't have to meet you. Yeah. And now I can judge it according to its merits or whatever, and no, we don't need it, whatever. The answer's no, but thank you. It's been a good use of my time. It's been interesting information. And I've been saying, hey, no problem at all. Look, do you mind if I put you on a list and we give you another call in 6 months? I'll have a new idea, a new product, and a new story. And they're saying, no problem at all. I'll look forward to it. That's the result that we get time and time again through this system of decent telephone presentations. Another small advantage behind the telephone presentation is basically this. I don't want to meet all of these people. Yeah? If I'm doing 30 calls, just imagine if I get 10 meetings. I have to meet 10 different individuals. And you know, as a person, I work best over a little bit of time, like 2 or 3 days, ideally. In a one-off meeting, you have to do all of the, you know, the chemistry of the first 30 seconds and stuff. When you're on the telephone, you don't have to deal with any of that. They are looking at your idea based on rational criteria. When you go to meet somebody, they're evaluating on billions of different subjective personal criteria. Yeah, I can deal without that. Also, I like my beer. I drink a lot. So, you know, if I go for a meeting at 7 or 10:30 in the morning, I probably still smell like a brewery. On the telephone, mi problema. Face to face, big problem. So telephone presentations are good for life because they get you good contacts after a while. And at the moment, I'm at the end of one acquisition campaign. There's one person who has not yet given me any kind of positive response, and they're my favorite, yeah, because I often have a very good conversation with them on the phone. And the next time I send this person a telephone presentation, now I send them an email and just say, look, do you want me to call you and give you the 1-minute version, or shall we arrange the telephone presentation straight away? And last time she said, let's just go straight for the big one. We spent 40 minutes on the phone. This time, I'm going to say, we need to meet. Just to have a coffee. We've spent 2 hours. I speak more to you than I do to my wife. She'll give me the meeting, I'm sure.